Welcome to the SAICA Biz Impact Podcast, your ultimate business growth platform, where we simplify complex business topics with expert insights, market-relevant trends, and practical advice, all aimed at keeping you ahead of the curve.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the SAICA Biz Impact Podcast Show. I am your host, Luncedo. This is your home where we unpack and simplify complex business topics that affect your business on a day-to-day basis. We will be bringing you the latest business trends and provide you with insights to ensure that you stay ahead of your business game. And today we have a special guest that will be assisting us to unpack some of the latest trends in business. And she is a powerhouse. She is a businesswoman. She is a chartered accountant. She is an MBA graduate from Gibbs. She currently serves on the Committee of Auditing Standards at ADBA, and she is a partner at Bahaga Group. Her name is Nolo Mogapi. Nolo, welcome on board.
Thank you, Nolo, for having me.
Yeah. Nolo, the topic at hand today that I'd love us to discuss, especially for our viewers and our listeners who are in business, is a topic around cash flow management. It is a topic that, if you look at it, it impacts not only business owners, but even individuals. The principle of cash flow management. In business, it is quite a vague term that you will have an accountant. They're going to be talking about you have to manage your cash flow properly. And sometimes SME owners don't understand what are we talking about. So can you please unpack that to us in terms of when we're talking about cash flow, what are we talking about?
Well, we can't overemphasize that cash is king enough. It's the backbone of the business. It is what could break or make your business.
Yeah.
So when we talk to cash flow management, we just talk to a process which you as a business owner will follow in managing your money. Managing how much money you spend on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, and managing also to a certain extent how much money gets to flow in the business.
Yeah.
And I think it's critical because it's very different from what we will refer to as profit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because profits would incorporate things like credit sales,
Correct.
whereas with cash, with cash flow, we're looking at actual movement of cash within the business.
Yeah.
Which is quite necessary for the day-to-day operations of the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this a skill as a business owner, even as an individual? Is this something that you need to go to school for, to be well trained, to be able to manage your money properly, or else it's a matter of habit and, of course, be able to have enough controls and discipline in terms of your money? Do you have do you need a training for this?
There's level of discipline that's necessary.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to be the jack of all trades as a business owner, right? You mentioned earlier on that your accountant will be sitting with you and talking to you about cash flow.
Correct.
So to a certain extent, you are led by your accountant in understanding your cash flow and your cash habits, right? Your spending habits. But at the end of the day, it is on the business owner to ensure that they spend in accordance to the business needs, conservatively, right? Depending on what you need. So there's a high level of discipline. There's controls that your accountant can help you put in place. There's a certain level of awareness on your cash spending and your cash habits that your accountant can bring on board and help you see how some spending habits can hold you back in business and how some spending habits can actually propel you forward and invest in your future. Because at the end of the day, especially for small businesses in South Africa, it's not every day that you're going to get cash inflows from outside through investments or loans. So it's very important that you are able to build enough equity within the business, enough cash within the business to finance your future. And that's how you build the sustainability for your own business and ensure that you're still here in 10, 20 years' time. Yeah.
No, you mentioned a word that is very important, that is used quite a lot in the financial industry, that business owners need to have controls in place. You find that most of the time, SME owners don't understand when you say controls, what are we talking about? Can you dive deeper, give a bit of practical examples that some of the controls SME owners can implement in relation to managing their funds effectively?
Great. I mean, you know, it's actually quite a broad term because you find controls all throughout the business.
Yeah.
But specific to cash flow and cash spending within your business, there's simple things that you can put in place just to safeguard sort of your cash and to also help you in managing your cash. One of the tools that we use effectively, which is also a planning tool, is having a budget on hand, right?
Budget.
A budget on hand, right? Whereby it helps you, number one, become aware of your spending, but also plan ahead, you know, in terms of where you spend your money, how you spend your money.
Yeah.
And also to just ensure that, for example, you are investing back in the business, right? And you are able to cover expenses and as and when they become due. Right. And also it's having more than one sort of eye look at your cash spending. For example, it's very easy as a business owner to just willy-nilly, you know, be swiping everywhere and anywhere, right? Without having yes, without having being accountable to anyone else in the business. And also it's putting things like you can't have a business credit card sitting with anybody. And them willy-nilly spending anyway is putting also sort of limits on those cards, especially if they're sitting in the office to be used for office expenses and things like that. So it's controls like that can help you sort of maintain the discipline in the business. But of course, as you grow as well and you have more people within the business, is having things like more than one signatory on the bank accounts, needing somebody to load the payments and somebody else to authorize the payments, just to make sure that you are paying for what you need to be paying for legitimate business expenses, and not that somebody can just take money out of your business.
I like that accountability part that you have mentioned, because it goes with discipline as well. And now the moment you are a startup, you don't have anyone.
Yes.
And that becomes a challenge for SME owners. Even you as an accountant, when you come, you become that accountability partner. So let's make an example. If you are a small player, you're still starting, you don't have the advisors, you don't have the board, you don't have the CFO, you don't have all of the management structures that you would find in a normal, well-established entity. So what controls can you put in place now to ensure that you have those accountability, systems in place?
Well, remember, you can get accountability even from your own accountant. And how you do that is putting a system in place where you are able to process or feed what's happening in your bank account in your accounting system, and your accountant is aware of all your cash expenditure. But most importantly, central to sort of starting out and starting a business is actually thinking about your structure. And in thinking about your structure, what needs to be the center of it is money. It's cash. And it goes into how you, for example, do you go and hire an expensive office space today when you're starting out? No. Or do you prolong, working from home and perhaps using like virtual co-working spaces for meetings or, team catch-ups and things like that. So it's having that in place in terms of thinking about, when you're thinking about the structure that you want to build, thinking about the costs associated with each and every item. It's about, another example could be, do you wake up today, start a business today and hire 10 people? No. Do you hire people for everything that you need in your business? No. You can outsource your accountant. You can outsource your HR services.
Yes.
You can even have a virtual assistant.
Yeah.
So it's putting those little things in place to ensure that, number one, you're disciplined, you're waking up every day to work. Number two, that you're not just, spending willy-nilly without thinking about if you have commitments, if you have your business structure in place, right, that you've thought of, you will not spend as willy-nilly as normally you would.
Yeah. No, that's a great point that you've raised there. So what are some of the common challenges that you've picked up? I'm sure you work with a number of businesses. The challenges that you've picked up that they usually face when it comes to cash flow management, and how can they address those challenges?
It's a few things. Some are a bit created, right? Some it's just really the environment. One of the things being that with most SMEs, when you work as a business to business sort of enterprise, and you work for the big corporates, a lot of the payment policies are given, so you don't have much control in terms of when do I get paid. Often, like I see some of my clients get. They're told that you get paid 90 days after invoicing, and often you've invested in materials, you invested in putting the product together, and you only invoicing when you think the product is there, right? And your invoice can get signed, but even after that, you still have to wait 90 days, whereas your cash is then tied in this project. So that's one of the things that happen within the environment as well. Some of the creative stuff is how we negotiate as well. When starting out, most of the pitfalls is that we negotiate, especially things like salaries, where we negotiate on a net basis, without thinking, if I hire somebody, I'm going to be an employer. I have to pay employee taxes.
COIDA.
And all of those things, right?
More responsibilities,
Exactly, and we're not taking that into account. And we get shocked in month end when your accountant say, okay, you've paid your people this much, but now you have to pay, these are the taxes related to that. And you have to pay that over to SARS. So that impacts on your cash flow as well. It's important when you start out that you formulate, to a certain extent, your own policies. Payments policies, right? When you work with your clients, you need to the advice that we often give is that you have to have different classes of sort of customers, or different, to say, and based on the classes, you have a 7-day class. After I invoice you, you pay me within 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, right? Where there's room for you to do that, of course, it's not all the time that you have room, but also being very diligent when you invoice, by invoicing, you done today, invoice today if you can, invoice today, send a statement, send reminders, make sure that your invoice is very clear as to what the payment terms are as agreed in your contract. Most of the times we do have scope where we are able to write the contract ourselves. So it's inputting our payment plans, payment terms in the contract to ensure that when I do invoice, there isn't a back and forth. No, but we pay. But listen, we have signed on this. So if we can stick to this, that would be great.
I like what you said in terms of the payment terms, because what you will get is an SME player will get into a project with a big company. Then you find that actually they do the work. They'll realize month end that actually the terms are you get paid after 60 or 90 days. And one of the things that I was taught was that you as a business owner, what you have to do is to collect fast, all right, and pay later. So how fair is this system? As well, even in reality, because the moment you end up now paying people later, some of the suppliers will run away from you. That we're not going to do the work for you, because if we do the work and we invoice today, you're going to pay us 90 days later. And as well on the other side, that is an injustice that you're going through on the other side with your clientele. So how do you bridge that gap and to ensure that you're able to balance and to have very good cash reserves in your bank account without ruining the relationships with your suppliers and your clientele?
Transparency. We need to communicate with our clients, right? Let them know that these are my payment term.
Yeah.
Please, can you see to it that we stick to this, right?
Yeah.
And often not, especially clients that are clients will agree because they understand, the pressures and difficulties or challenges of SMEs.
Yeah.
And on the same note with your suppliers, right? Your you remember, you are not the only person they are servicing, right? So they have experienced this before. They know that the business custom is you don't invoice today and get paid today.
Yeah.
Of course, they will try to push you as hard as you are pushing your other customers.
Yeah.
But I mean, you need to try to be fair as possible to them, and perhaps maybe share to them as well, and communicate and be transparent as well to say, listen, I need these products for a certain project that I'm only going to get invoice in 90 days. So unfortunately, I have to push a little bit if there's room for you to do that. Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes there's 50% deposit that you have to pay on the ground.
Yeah.
And that brings me to the topic of being aware of your spending habits.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's why now we lay down in a budget format all the different types of expenditures that you incur. And understanding that as a business, small business, on a monthly basis, this is how much cash I need to run my operations, right? What that enables to do, especially if you can plan forward, in a budget format, you can plan a year, 6 months, 3 months. You should know with some form of certainty, at least, what's happening in the next 3 months. You should know in terms of your plans and with the big investments that you want to make in product development, research and development, that within a year, I'm going to need this much.
Yeah.
That gives you room and space to then start thinking, do I need to go outside and look for funding? Do I want to extend my credits facility?
Yeah.
What other avenues are available for me from a credit point of view that I can tap into? Do I want to start having conversations with that group of investors or that group of friends that were interested in investing in my business? So you can do those things and do them diligently and effectively for your business. If you are aware of your cash spending, you are aware of how much your business needs, and also in time for planning is very critical.
You are talking about, I'm not sure how practical or how realistic it is for SMEs to do this. Budgeting, right? In big corporates, yes, at the beginning of the year, there is a plan. There's a strategy. You plan ahead. You budget, right? Now, I am Joe. I'm running my tuck shop. They're changing tires, right? Do SME owners really do budget? And again, even if they do, how do you remain relevant, considering the fact that, the world changes, within a short space of 2, 3, 4 months, and all those global issues that are happening outside of South Africa will have an impact to South Africa. And now you end up seeing this document. You did this document at the beginning of the year, and it's no longer relevant 6 months down the line. So as an SME owner, how do you create this document and ensure that it remains relevant and not just static?
It's not a static document to begin with. It's not, and hence I was saying in the SME environment, you should know with some level of certainty for 3 to 6 months, right? And also the other things is also we should not be just receivers, right? And I think that's in entrepreneurship, we're always trying to be innovative and planning ahead, and we have this new great product that you're thinking of. There's a level of responding to the environment in terms of what's happening around, but there's also a level of planning for your own business as well. So with that, you can then plan ahead, within 2 a year to say, in a year, I'm going to need this much. This is the product that I'm building. In the background of everything that I'm doing for the business, I'm going to need this much. And you can then start maybe picking up all those surpluses and putting them aside for your business. But to a level of certainty, the budget is not static. You are constantly looking at it every single month. We are looking for as an accountant for some of our clients, we are always looking at what is your average spend, and that average changes because we are adding every single month. We are adding, and we're looking at past 6 months, what was your average spend? What are you planning for the next couple of months? Where do you expect to get money from your clients? How are you going to finance all these expenses? So you really need to sit down before even your accountant comes in, because your accountants will normally only have, unless you tell them, will only have your history right?
Yes.
To help you in terms of projecting your future. But it's to you as well to sit and say, listen, these are my plans.
Good.
I'm losing this expense. So that once in a month a meeting with your accountant is for that reason. To help them get a better understanding of the business and changes in the business so that we can plan better for the future. But definitely your budget is not static at all. It changes every single month. You are updating. You are checking against your actual expenditure so that to add that bit of a discipline to see where maybe you fell short, where you need to course correct as well. And maybe you are doing way better and you can take your surplus and put it in your small interest earning account. So
Yeah. Important point there that you just mentioned, that it's not only the accountants that need to do the projections or the budget. Because at the end of the day, the person who's running the business is the one that should be informing the accountant to say, look, this is what we are anticipating. Because what I've picked up with SMEs, they would offload that duty to accountant, do the budget for me, then that's it, without them being involved, right?
That is not effective for the sustainable running of your business. It's also some clients will send bank statements to the accountant and then sit back for 6 months not having the conversations, right? Not explaining to them what this big expenditure was for. What the next couple of months you're looking at, because there's 4 warnings as well that your accountant will be able to say, listen, I don't know what's happening here, but it's not looking good. Let's tighten up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or listen, there's opportunities opening. I don't see you investing in any capex. You know, in the past 3 years, this is we are halfway through depreciating your assets. So maybe we need to start thinking about putting some money aside and saving for the next big capital expenditure. So you definitely need to get very involved in the finances of the business, unfortunately. And I know, I mean, you do everything, you know, you're head of IT, you're head of, but you really do need to get a bit of a handle on the finances.
I like when you spoke about capex, because that is part of scaling up. Now that would lead me to the next question in terms of how can businesses use technology and some of the software tools to really streamline their cash flow management processes?
Look, we are automating. I think every day we are reminded as accountant that we might not be here in the next 5 to 10 years, and I don't believe that, because I think we're still very much necessary. But our job is changing in that we are becoming more analyst than anything, right? We are not debit and crediting anymore. Because what we're doing now is that with the many applications that exist, without naming them, we have a couple of accounting applications in the country that are quite affordable, that are geared towards SMEs, right? That they can use in the business, both for payroll, both for accounting, and that allow direct fees from your bank, actually, and giving your accountant access to be viewing on a timely basis as to what's happening in your accounts. So automated systems like that are valuable, and of course is also investing in automating your administrative tasks as well within the business, right? Everybody is talking now, we're all talking now about some form of remote hybrid working styles as well. So automation is quite critical, especially for the admin tasks. Because that's one of the things that SMEs struggle with, because you have one guy who's running everything. So if you automate and you have maybe you can't afford an assistant, a full-time assistant, you can have your virtual assistant, you know, you have your Microsoft planners, you have your different planning tasks or applications that you can use, you know, to run your business effectively from your home, but being able to see what each and everyone within your team is doing, what your accountant is doing as well in your accounting application. So there's a number of ways that you can automate, especially for administrative tasks.
We live in an AI world, and what I'm picking up from you is really about efficiency, which leads to cost savings at the end of the day. As a CA, how can you as a CA help businesses really analyze these cash flow patterns, create budget, identify business opportunities? Because there is a very good brand behind the CA, that you are the business guru in a nutshell. So how do you add value in relation to streamlining, or providing proper advice to SMEs?
Thank you for that question, because actually we are now talking about a chief value officer, previously we used to talk about a chief financial officer.
Correct.
And that's simply because you're not expected to just read the numbers,
Like that,
because if you just read them, you're just giving us what happens in the past, right? We should be able to read your past and try to talk to you about your future, right? Your accountant should be able to see your spending habits and see if there's any you have adding value or you're investing back in the business, right? If you're just spending, like I think I said it a bit earlier, if you're just spending currently now, how relevant will you be in 5 years if you're not thinking of keeping anything for your investment in research and development, for your investment in product development, for looking for new opportunities outside of where you are now, right? It's just looking for a little bit more than just somebody to do your financials, to do your taxes, and that's it.
I like the term you said, chief value officer.
Chief
so it's no
value
longer
officer.
accountants now. So it's no longer accountants.
It's no longer, because it's no longer chief financial officer. We're chief value officers,
Okay.
right?
To all my listeners going forward, they know what they're looking for.
Yes.
Not just an accountant, but chief value officer.
Chief
That's
value
brilliant.
officer, and that's your partner in the business, especially for an SME. That's somebody who helps you as well to say, hey, listen, in the beginning of the year, you said that this year you're going to work on this product. I don't see anything. I don't see you putting any money aside. I don't see you investing anything towards these expenses. In fact, we're bleeding here. They're also there to help you say, listen, I know you love this product, but listen, we've bled so much. Let's have a relook at it. Let's see if there's any room to improve the products, to pivot. Or perhaps maybe it's not time for it now. It's not its time. Maybe we need to just keep it in the back burner and wait for 2-3 years while we're sweating on this other projects or products that we've been working on.
No. That was very, very fruitful advice, I must say. In terms of your company, Bahaka Group,
Yes.
What are the services that you provide to SMEs as Bahaka Group?
So we provide accounting services and accounting services. We provide audit services, external audits, and internal audit. We also do governance reviews. And for most SMEs now, as you grow and you're moving to medium tier and you start thinking about the structures as well. The other thing is to get an advisory board together, or to put together an actual board to assist you with the running or the oversight of the business as well. So we can help with sort of building the framework for that as well, within governance, your governance structure, and risk management as well, looking at your risk management framework. We do accounting, tax, advisory. The big thing now that we're looking into is moving, because we have data analytics, but we normally use it for in our audits. So we're taking out as a product itself and trying to then use it for businesses to inform decision making.
No, you're talking, there's one element that I'm interested in that you just mentioned. Board advisory, board framework. As an SME, when do you get to a point where you are saying, I can start now to have board advisors in my company? Do you have to be 100 million rand entity, or else it's something that you can implement even if you're a 10 million rand or 20 million rands company?
Listen, I'll hate to use numbers because it really differs from business to business and the need for the business in terms. And mainly it's not necessarily looking at where you are today, but as to where you're going. So to a certain extent, you can use the business coach, in your business, to just have that level of accountability and to sit with somebody to say, are you reaching out? Are you networking? Are you building? How's your business development? How are you growing? Are you doing these things that you have set out to do as a business coach? So that level of accountability is always necessary. So to a certain extent, you always need somebody. But in terms of governance and board, and that could be, then you easily slow it in, you know. Maybe you can start from a business coach before you reach your 50 mark. And if your business coach is providing a certain level of expertise from a subject matter point of view, and now you're getting into these big contracts, global contracts, perhaps you want to get in another advisor, maybe from a legal point of view, and that's how you build to it. And hopefully then having this advisory panel that you can then convert once you've reached a bit of mass. And even from a staff complement and growth point of view, you are going towards, like, I mean, you know, where you wanted to go, then perhaps you then convert that to a board. But accountability is important.
Nolo, my last question to you. This show is about impact.
Yes.
And I always want my listeners, my viewers, to have an impact moment when they're listening to the show. So what is the key takeaway advice that you would want to stress to the SME or to my viewers that are listening today around just the principle, even around cash flow or just in business in general?
Let me stick to cash flow. And one element that I did want to mention is big business call it leverage. Right. And leverage is really the use of debt to a certain extent, you know, to grow your business, right? But specifically, I want to talk to smart debt. Don't be afraid to call your accountant, you know, in trying to figure out if the leverage that you're using or the debt that you are using is smart debt. Don't be afraid to just sit down with them and say, these are my different options that exist. Which one will be the best option for me, looking at the repayment terms, looking at interest rates as well. It's critical, actually, that you involve them in decision making around your cash spending, because they can also help you find ways to save costs within the business, and also help you with finding ways of reserving some funds to reinvest in your business. And not always to look outside for investments or for debt.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it yourself. Don't be scared of debt. Use smart debt. I think, Nolo, most of the people have been told that debt is so wrong. When they
I know. On a personal level, from a business point of view, you really need to adapt a different approach to it.
So if you're running a business, don't be scared of debt. Use smart debt. Be wise about it. The number of gems that have been dropped in today. I hope you have learned some lessons. I hope you have taken some tips from Nolo and you will implement going forward. So that's it from me, Luncedo. We'll see you in the next one.
The SAICA Biz Impact Podcast is proudly brought to you by SAICA, committed to growing impactful businesses in collaboration with our SAICA accredited practitioners. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and visit our website for more valuable resources.